Jake, I gotta say, this week you seem more upset than normal. What's going on?
Scott Narver, as you know, AEW released the all-in footage of the incident.
It sure did. You got feelings?
Scott, not since the unfortunate, horrific ending to Lita's pregnancy. Not since Big Boss Man stole the corpse of Big Show's dad. Not since The Undertaker dropped Hulk Hogan square on the top of his head, nearly paralyzing the man, have I been as horrified as I was watching CM Punk threaten the life of Tony Khan.
Well, Big Show's dad did deserve it.
AEW all-in backstage footage and so much more today on Pro Wrestling Palskis. Hey, Scott Narver.
Hey, Jake Lloyd Bacon.
Hello to everybody out there tuning in for yet another Pro Wrestling Palskis. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in live via the super exclusive patron-only live stream. How's it going, Scott?
It's going good. Sora Sushi Pants and I are here, and we're ready to bring the show.
I'm really excited.
Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep.
I'm really excited for Sora Sushi Pants' take on things.
Oh, yeah. Well, she heard about that there was footage of a backstage brawl, and so she's like, oh, yeah, let's get some of that. She loves a good fight. Likes a good skirmish.
I can tell. She's got that volatile, I'm going to fuck you up cat feel.
Oh, yeah. She brings the fire. She brings the pain, but you don't bring Band-Aids.
No? That's not.
No. BYOBA.
Well, some of the excitement of Mania weekend remained in the air through the course of the past week. There was some fizzling here and there. AEW sure did get a couple views on their product for the right reasons. The world continues to turn, the world of wrestling specifically. So, Scott, what's going on?
Well, we got a number of stories here, so much so we're going to have to filter out some of the ones that people are probably going to jump in our Discord, which is free and which is the big chat community, and you can hang out and do all that, and they'll probably be like, hey, you didn't talk about this. Hey, you didn't talk about this thing. Like, oh, you know, Kenny Omega says he has no issue with Punk, or John Moxley wins the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. We got other stuff we gotta do. We got other fish that needs to be fried.
I will say that is he's the first ever person to win all of the major company titles. Although every time a new company comes about, it's like, well, now you no longer have that. You no longer have that prestigious.
Well, and also anymore. I don't know how many titles they've added, because there's also New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, right, which is a subdivision of it's like the Western version. So I don't know if that's counted.
Although,
that if he doesn't have them all.
Quick sidebar. Speaking of titles, we almost forgot. How could we? We must acknowledge the current PWP World Champion, Strong Style, aka Gaines. If you would like to challenge Strong Style for that title for May, that's the next month. That's the order of them. Well, then you got to become a patron, a championship patron, specifically over at patreon.com/PWPalskis. Almost forgot. Got it in there. I'm a little.
You gotta slip it in.
I'm a little foggy today. I'm just gonna let everybody know. So business as usual.
Even though you're slipping it in and it's a little foggy, you can still get a little wet. So put on a raincoat. Be safe.
Okay.
Well, let's see here. First up, we've got some great timing on this news. Damian Priest says he signs a new deal with WWE.
Whoa, I would hope so. Seriously. Almost had a CM.
He's one of your two world champions.
Almost had a CM Punk situation on our hands.
Yeah, otherwise you got to call in Moxley with his title and go like, I guess you got to be the other champion. Come on now. New World Champion revealed all the news in a WWE digital exclusive following Raw, saying to Kathy Kelly, "This has already been a great year for me. New contract, new title, new theme song voiced by yours truly. Judgment Day is on fire.
Wait a minute. Damian Priest recorded his own theme song?
To be fair, I haven't heard it. It could be like Shawn Michaels' theme song.
I hope so.
Where
God, I hope so.
he's not singing that he's a sexy boy.
Right.
That's the lady singing. He's talking about like, I am tall. My voice is deep. I shoot arrows with all the guys around. Like it could be one of those.
Okay. All right. Who do you think in the current roster should also sing their own theme song?
85% of the roster.
I'm gonna go 100. Why bother with the other 15 then?
Because there's a few that you want the chase. You want the chase. You want in a few albums from now that it's like, oh come on, do your theme song. Or I don't want people to do it too soon when they have no identity yet. You know,
right?
But the Vince thing, the fact that Vince managed so early in his tenure of owning WWF. Managed to make all of these wrestlers fucking sing.
That's pretty incredible.
On their own,
right?
And group numbers
for a album,
for music videos. That
yeah,
I love that so much. I can't get enough of it, and I miss all that kind of stuff. It always needs to happen more.
I'm trying to think.
Triple H should be doing a new version of Stand Back.
I'm trying to think of who does actually currently sing their own theme. Naomi, the Usos, I think.
Naomi does?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. That was her song. That I'm a May. That I mean, I know she's
that's
a
not
new
her
one.
song anymore.
I know, but it's another one of her. It's just her trying to sell songs.
I thought. See, when I used to talk about this with Steve Steers on Curtain Jerks, there were so many people where it's like, they sing their own song, right? That's a Big Show singing his song.
Right.
I go, I think the key is to get people that sounds like it would be them singing, but they're not singing.
That got me. For the longest time, I was like, yeah, no, that's Big Show. Like he's like a bluesy singer guy because it sounds just like him. That's fucking Big Show. What are you talking about? That's his voice.
It's giant voice.
There's only the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cena, it's like, R-Truth, literally, he sings it live on the way to the fucking ring. But there is something to that of like, oh, this person, because if it's singing from like your point of view, it could kind of be your voice in a way. I get that, but I think that's it currently.
I don't know of any. I don't know about, because Usos, they say, ooh, so.
I think that's them though, doing the, I'll say day one. I think that's them, but I could be wrong. Because again, it's just like Naomi, like I think like they're like musical and they're trying to be music artists.
They should put on a little concert then.
They should put on a not rock concert.
Yeah, unless he's cool with all them in the bloodline, because he loves a good old rock concert. He could main event it.
I think Dexter Lumis should sing his own theme song. I think that would be good. But
I think we're hearing it now.
But then he doesn't speak. Oh, it's like Pootie Tang. Remember the scene of Pootie Tang where he cuts a record and just silences it? Oh God, that movie's so fucking good. Yeah, I mean, listen, Gunther, that'd be an interesting one. Maybe he's who we don't know. Maybe he's got like operatic pipes.
I think you could do some doo-wop.
Oh, okay.
If you do Imperium, because you talked about this the other day when we were recording some watch-alongs. If you do add one more Imperium member, you got a barbershop quartet right there.
Oh my God. And you could get Giovanni, I almost called him Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, Giovanni Ribisi. He could come along and do the dip, 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 whoop. That's not Gunther? That's the best part. No. See, that's what you would assume, but Gunther's actually, he's up here. That's Gunther.
Oh, then you gotta get a tiny guy then.
Oh, well,
you gotta call up like a Drake Maverick.
Isn't Giovanni? Oh, even tinier.
I'm talking tiny.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Giovanni Ribisi is he's small and all, but
all right. Well, we'll workshop it. Anyways, I had no idea Damian Priest was singing his own song, and I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Look at iTunes. Someone's buying the new song for $1.99.
Not because I think it's gonna be great. I know. I just assume that they're all bad. That's probably the shitty cynic in me. But I go like, yeah, you made it as a wrestler. You're a shitty singer.
You just hate on this guy.
Can't have both.
Hate on him.
Listen.
Second Puerto Rican world champion.
Don't fucking do that shit. Don't make it seem like there's an ulterior motive. And by the way,
I was just
I've said
acknowledging a stat.
I've said that he's grown on me a lot over the past year, and I think he's gotten really, really significantly better than
like a fungus.
God damn.
Well, the hits keep on coming because the bloodline has changed up, but in a controversial way. On this past SmackDown, Tama Tonga makes his WWE debut. Seemingly, Paul Heyman, the wise man, didn't know about it.
No.
This is Solo Sikoa's move and bringing somebody in to punish Jimmy Uso. I don't know if it's specifically for having the worst match at WrestleMania.
I mean, he lost the match, so they could say, "Oh, it's because you didn't win," but it could also be like you just didn't show up at all.
Yeah, could be both.
Yeah. I was a little bit torn over that entire segment, but it did leave me with questions, which is way better than I think I said.
You were torn. Think of Jimmy Uso.
We
got all torn.
I think I said that in the Discord. I was like, I'm a little confused, but I'd rather be confused than apathetic. That, you know what I mean? Like in the stages of, what you want out of a viewer. At least I'm like, well, now I'm curious to see what's happening here. Oh, yeah.
Well, I think he's shaking up, making moves. This is good for Solo rather than just, punching a guy once or putting a thumb in his throat and then going, well, I'll turn my back now. It didn't work. Hold the guy down. We'll do anything. I don't care for Solo's psychology so far.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Sometimes it's a little, it's like everybody else in the bloodline that I guess like when it was like the Usos at each other with Roman present, when Sammy was involved, they figured out that right formula of like milking the crowd for like just long enough. But like Solo does the same timing, but without the reaction from the crowd. If that makes any sense.
It's just it's not there yet, which is a bummer. I mean, I don't hate the guy or anything, but it's just not.
It's astounding that he keeps a straight face. Like that dude, the fact that he doesn't corpse a ton, because the shit that they do in that ring regularly, especially when Sammy was around,
maybe he just has a really shitty sense of humor, and he's just not. He's like, he goes backstage and like, wow, man, you kept a straight face. He's like, from what?
What happened?
Sammy was being funny. You didn't get that? You're not being very oozy right now.
Not remember, get it?
I know.
He wasn't. He wasn't being very oozy. I don't understand.
Yeah, maybe he
makes a good point.
With Tama Tonga, it was cool to see that his debut, he brought fire.
And
he
looked great,
was intense.
Yeah, even there's one line, like, sold it.
Good showing for him.
Yeah.
Good way to start off, and so I'm excited to see that, and I'm hoping for good things for him.
Yeah, there were people. I was gonna say there were people that were speculating on Jacob Fatu because he's out there and like, oh my god, I can't believe that Tama is here before Jacob is. And I don't.
Yeah, and just when I'm starting to keep track of who's where and related to what, and it's like, hey, here's Tama Tonga. Like, oh shit, he's Haku's son. Is that right?
I believe so. He is there. He is the Usos and Solo's cousin, first cousin.
See, that's what
Rikishi's brother's kid, I think.
The Hart family is nice because it's just they're all brothers.
No, because I guess there's in-laws. The in-laws make it really tough on the Hart family.
Well, that's what they don't. It's just they married somebody. That's
right.
it. Because then they have a different name, something else entirely different, but just Hart, Bruce Hart, Bret Hart, right. Owen Hart, boom,
Neidhart.
Stu gave birth to all of them. That's what happened.
They all popped out of Stu's little belly button.
Mm-hmm. Yep, down in the dungeon. Just here comes another one.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the in-laws sometimes are harder to follow though than the like, oh no, we're just actual cousins or siblings.
We've talked about this some that I have a very small family, so everything confuses me. Cousins, all extended things, because There's 40 plus years of not dealing with any of that.
Oh man, I am the bloodline is less complex than my family tree. Like the Anoa'i family, I look at that and I go, you call that a family tree? Like where are the branches? There's like 2 people in this fucking thing.
It is now new math to me.
We are
all of this shit. It's the fucking Bill Gates math. And I go, what? I don't know. It's not what a calculator does. So we talk about Tama Tonga.
Yeah.
He showed up on SmackDown, but he's not necessarily going to be on SmackDown because the WWE draft is set to take place on April 22nd or April 26th rather, and April 29th. Friday, April 26th, night 1, SmackDown will be in the Heritage Bank Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then Monday, April 29th, the draft night 2, everything's at 2 nights now. Raw from T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri. And we got somebody else throwing their hat in the ring here. NXT champion Ilya Dragunov has declared that he will be in. So whether or not what happens to his NXT title, if he defends it, or he just the next match he has, he goes, and they lose.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time.
Don't know, but
wouldn't be the first time they just took a title away from somebody. Like, you're drafted. You're not here no more. Sorry, Asuka.
Yeah. So he will be a fun addition to whatever show as well. So that's 2 fresh faces for sure with Tama and Ilya.
I have this crazy idea that I just came up with off the top of my head that we have not talked about at all whatsoever. Why don't we next week for our show, just before the WWE draft, see once again, like we did last year or 2 years ago or never.
So it's an annual show.
Whether you know where anybody is currently. Next week, we'll test Scott's knowledge on where WWE superstars are currently before the draft even happens.
Ooh, I love a game show.
Yeah, it's a game show with only one contestant, but the listeners play along.
And no whammies.
There's not a single. We don't know. There might be somebody named Whammy along the way.
Oh, yeah. Whammy's been untouched in the world of wrestling. They need it.
By the way, Gilbert Short in the chat says, I wonder if Tango Loa, formerly known as Camacho, will show up ever, because he's also a part of the Anoa'i family who was previously linked with what was
dude
his,
on a bike?
Yeah, what was his name? It was not Sin Cara. Remember when
Hunico?
What was his name? Hunico? That sounds right. Yeah, Hunico and Camacho.
From what I remember, there's a Hunico, a Camacho, a real Sin Cara, a fake Sin Cara,
a blue Sin Cara, and a ball Sin Cara. At this point, the
Camacho was the guy on the bike.
Yeah, he was the heavy of that duo. Yeah.
Oh,
didn't like him.
That's hard to come bouncing back from.
What, being Camacho? I mean, they'll just be like, that didn't happen. You think people remember that other than us?
I don't want to remember that at all. Fair. But that's all I have so far is maybe I wouldn't recognize his face or if he comes back with a new look, but I don't want is that guy on the bike? Look at all the cool stuff he's doing. Yeah, but he's the guy on the bike.
Gilbert Short in the chat writes, Junico. No, it was Hunico. Gilbert.
Oh, Junico is, I think, John Morrison.
No, that's what
trying to be Hunico.
No, Junico was those jeans we used to wear in the late 90s.
I believe I probably still do. Chances are if it's something that fashion in the 90s, I didn't let it go.
Well, any case, the bloodline / Anoa'i family tree is clearly filled with a ton of talent. They could literally just keep adding people and taking people away. I think my big gripe with it is like, there's been so much infighting that I like the idea of the bloodline growing without needing somebody to be fucking excommunicated. Like, if this is now Jimmy out of the bloodline, then that's terrible news, unless they're just...
Jimmy can just get beat up and punished.
And that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this is like we've seen before, where it's like, you took your punishment, you're still part of the group, but you needed to pay for losing at Mania, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I think that's fair. That's family.
Yeah.
You just beat a family member till they get it right.
Yeah.
Speaking of family members and taking beatings, former WWE co-CEO Stephanie McMahon had made a surprise at WrestleMania 40 Night 2, but as of now, and I questioned this when we talked about it previously, she is currently not employed or an executive at WWE.
Oh, so
This comes from PW Insider, reporting that she's not officially returned to the company as an employee or executive in any way, shape, or form. And it was one more thing that the WWE did not expect, and personally lend her support to the company's new era.
So there was something. There was whatever that news was that broke was untrustworthy then, because I think we chatted about
it was
that.
Unfounded.
We found it. We found that news. I don't know what you're talking.
Oh, you found that news. I ain't taking claim for that.
I don't know. You should take a claim. You should take a claim all the way to the claim bank.
So as of right now, it's not. WWE isn't publicizing it, whether or not they're working on something secretly, whether Triple H is giving her free Snickers from the new headquarters. I don't know. Or possibly she's just taking all the dude wipes.
You think they use dude wipes to clean those statues in the lobby at headquarters?
They should.
You know, we never talked about the Wyatt statue. Did you see that? The debut
of
Bray?
Didn't.
So WrestleMania
it's made out of
weekend.
Dude wipes?
Yeah. It's like paper mache, but they use dude wipes. They unveiled
Uncle Howdy, what have you done?
They unveiled a statue of Bray, and
one of the bronze ones.
I assumed it was going to be a bronze one because that's what they all are, and they uncover it, and it's like a full color statue, and it's kind of terrifying. And in fairness, it was not super like well, and it's not him in the Fiend mask; it's just him. It's like something you'd see at Madame Tussauds, but it was really very realistic, at least in the footage that they showed. I'm sure maybe in person it's not as realistic, but it's just like them on stage undoing this thing of Bray holding the lantern out. And it was just like, it was kind of creepy because it was so lifelike there on stage.
Okay, yeah, it's what you described. There was a number of those images that popped up and I go, well, that can't be it.
Because,
yeah, I guess that is it.
But yeah, I assumed they were going to do a bronze one, but I guess they were like, well, this is a different thing. This is going to...
He was so colorful.
They're probably going to put that at the WWE Experience in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, to let you know we're closed. Ugh. Thing's terrifying. Yeah, I'm not seeing clear images of it currently. There's a bunch of videos and I don't want to start that up and have a bunch of audio going off, but I'm seeing some of it.
To put
and I agree. It's unusual.
Well, it's very unusual. That is the best word to describe how I felt about it. It was unusual.
Hopefully the family and everybody was like, thanks.
Totally. Well, I think it's the guy it was his partner who did all of his masks and all of like that work, the designer, I think, who did it and made it. So
they didn't fucking stuff it, did they?
Listen, maybe it was just that burning one of him that they had from the Thunderdome when they set him on fire and it cut to like a dummy in the ring on fire with Orton, remember? Maybe it's just that they cleaned it up, stood it up right. It was just like a dummy version.
I'm really terrified at the thought of someone did taxidermy on Bray Wyatt. And we're like, there we go. He's around now. It's clean. It's sanitary. It's fine.
So
that's him.
So you're
one last scary thing to provide for wrestling for all of time.
You're saying that you don't want to be taxidermied? You don't want to be stuffed? Because I have to make a phone call.
I didn't say me.
Okay, good. So that can stay in the end of life plan that we built for you?
Yeah, for the Palskis Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Who's in that Palskis Hall of Fame exactly? It's just Andrew Beeler.
It's no one.
Well, Andrew Beeler,
no one's qualified.
Record-holding champ. Andrew Beeler is the only one who's qualified. 6-time champion.
By the way, for Vince's birthday this year and for Christmas, I hope everyone sends Vince McMahon just boxes and boxes of dude wipes.
I think
that'd be great.
I don't think he needs them.
Mick Foley calls off plans to have one final match. We had talked about it previously on the show.
Yep.
That what the plans were, which I'll get to in a second here as I get to Foley's quote about the whole thing. But doctors suspect that Foley recently suffered a concussion, and Foley talked about he's currently 58, that he was considering coming out of retirement to have one final death match in celebration of his 60th birthday. He said he wanted to lose weight and was using this goal of having one more match as motivation. And Foley released a YouTube video saying, quote, "As some of you know, I had to miss a couple of weeks of appearances because of dizziness and lightheadedness. After consulting a couple of doctors and also using my own experience with concussions, the symptoms, they seem to point to a concussion that I did not know, even know I received.
Wow.
I haven't done too much in the ring, but I had done a little bit. I had noticed that I was lightheaded after one of the workouts, but I thought it would go away. So it just seems like the wisest move, and one that's strongly supported by my family, is to call off that match. If I get concussed from something I'm not even aware of, then some of the things I was thinking of doing and hoping of doing in a big match would not be smart. So with my family's urging and after careful thought, I've decided there will be no final match. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I hope you have a nice day."
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear this. I'm not happy to hear that he had a concussion, but I think whatever concussion that he didn't even realize he got over the course of whether it was training or, like he said, he might have gotten it. He might have bumped his head on the way out of a car and not realize. You have no idea. This it pales in comparison to what could have happened to him in the match, and so
He could have seen that Bray Wyatt statue and just
yeah. It's a bummer because I love the guy and I want him to be happy, and I want that's what he wants, and he wants that, and he wants to perform. He's got it.
Yeah.
He's got every right to do that. And if he felt like he had something to offer, in a way that would have helped out another. I don't know if he had plans on who it was going to be against or where or whatever, but
yeah, Moxley and Cardona were the two top names.
Yeah. And that's I want that for him, but not at the expense of his fucking health, because the guy's already put himself through so much for the sake of this ridiculous art form and industry. And it's just, I was happy to hear he called it off.
Hopefully someone else can give him some sort of goal of weight loss, of something to achieve where, hey, if you do this, you get free clothes or you get some incentivization that he would want. And
yeah. Hey, Rock,
be, great for him.
Rock, you just made $1 billion fucking WrestleMania weekend. Why don't you sponsor like a weight loss thing for every pound he fucking loses, that you donate X amount to a charity of his choosing?
Yeah, I guess that's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's all right. But yeah, I'm also bummed that whatever was going to happen in this match, that so much revolved around Foley's head.
Right. Well, I mean, it's not like he was going to be like wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he was going to be, I'm sure he was going to still, a little headlock takedowns and stuff like that, but it's not like he was going to be putting on a fucking technical wrestling clinic.
Oh, yeah. Match. If he was going to be wrestling Moxley, there's going to be a lot of those.
Well, listen, that's what they do. Andrew Beeler in the chat, I'm glad he stopped. Noel's whole life changed after a concussion. That's a good point.
I thought it changed after trying to get trained from Enzo in the ring.
Wait.
That'll ruin everyone's life.
Wait a minute. Maybe Foley was going to fight Dolly Parton in a death match.
Explain.
Didn't she get a concussion at Dollywood? His daughter? That's where her concussion.
I don't know.
Yeah, she got a concussion on like a Dollywood roller coaster or something. And so I thought maybe he wanted revenge. But everybody loves her though. Everybody loves him.
Well, I think there are a lot of gentlemen in the world that do want to wrestle Dolly Parton. So you're not wrong there. But you know what? I'm guessing she's not a big wrestling fan because I don't recall any Dolly Parton in anything of wrestling. We've seen RoboCop.
Yeah, that is interesting. You would think that of all of the we're going to have a fun, especially because she's a country artist and they love,
she is
tipping, or dipping into that well. But her music though, what would be a good, I think like Working 9 to 5 would be a good like montage for somebody getting ready for a big match.
Working 365.
Ooh.
It's singing about 80s wrestlers.
Okay. All right. We're getting there. We're getting closer. It's Working 9 to 5, but it's Austin 316, and they just changed the lyrics.
Oh.
It's Austin 316, and he's gonna stun your butthole. No?
That's
Listen, we could workshop it.
That's the one spot that I think is free and clear from a stunner.
Depends on how you take it. Depends on how you land.
This is why you got kicked out of wrestling school.
Wait, what was I doing wrong?
You took a stunner to the butthole.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. He kicks you in the belly, and then he drops down, he puts his arm up, and then you quickly spin like Naomi to like a rear view, and then he grabs your butt, and then he drops. And then he stuns your butthole.
Sounds like you got hazed in a real bad way, Jake. You might need to go see a therapist.
I don't know. Andrew Biller in the chat, they're supposed to do Mania in Nashville in a few years once the remodel of Nissan Stadium is done. Maybe she'll appear then. Maybe.
With a whole new face yet again.
Working.
She'll look like she's 17.
Listen.
Yes.
She's a national treasure.
So Nicolas Cage is after her?
He's after fucking everything, that guy. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Get out of our dreams.
I just saw the retirement plan last night. This is not a movie podcast.
No, I just referenced Dream Scenario. I just referenced another movie. Great.
That one's probably way better than the one I watched.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I have seen Dream Scenario, and it's good, but it's weird.
This was like a straight to DVD thing. A bunch of fun people. Spoiler alert for a movie that's not good. The funniest ending to a movie where you go, wait a second, are we going to get any resolution to what's going on? There's constant, there's the characters at these level, and then there's agents above them that are working this mission and trying to figure out what's going on. Then there's bad guys, and then there's secret super government agents. And at the end, we just get one person showing up after the next. I'm not kidding. And they just constantly shoot one another.
Oh.
The only thing that would have made it funnier is if the bodies actually stacked on one another.
Right.
But the hand over the drive. You go get the drive from him. Bang. Now give me the drive. Bang. Well, I see you've brought everyone together, and bang.
I'm reminded of that.
This really happened.
I'm reminded of this scene from Loaded Weapon. I think we talked about this not that long ago, which is where all of the bad guys line up in a row to attack, the main character played by Emilio Estevez. And one by one, he runs up and he kicks them, and then they fall back through a pane of glass that two guys are walking by, and then they land, and then another guy steps up, and another two guys walk a new pane of glass, and then the next guy falls, and they just keep doing it until the guys are in a big giant pile. Fucking aces. Mwah. If you haven't watched Loaded Weapon in a while, goddamn, that's a funny movie. Anyways, this is a wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is a wrestling podcast.
It is. And with some other news in that, hey, hopefully this person is well, and it's unfortunate for wrestling fans if they want more wrestling out of this person. But we got an update today, right?
Yeah.
Big E. He tweeted out saying, quote, 2-year neck scans are in. Things are unchanged. My C1 has healed fibrously, but has not formed new bone. I'm not medically cleared, and truthfully, I may never be cleared, but I am blessed to be free of pain, immensely happy, and otherwise healthy. Life is good.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. At the end of the day, the thing you want most is for a guy to be healthy and happy. But talk about somebody who I feel like, the proverbial brass ring, he was right at it. You know what I mean? Like I felt like it was right in his grasps.
And with this, I don't know, I'm just going to call it a new era.
Sure. Yeah.
The opportunity.
Right.
And what could be capitalized on with him. And I'm assuming there's synergy between Triple H and Big E.
Yeah, I would assume so as well.
There could have been some really cool things that could happen.
I think Big E,
it's not out.
I think he was the second.
And maybe he's fooling us.
I think he was only the second ever NXT champion, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the third. And I feel like that was, that was when those were really, truly like, Triple H and Dusty's kids, and I feel like that whole group has been really, taken care of and sought after, and at least, given the opportunities. Not that they've all succeeded and fulfilled in those opportunities, but they've been given them for sure.
Well,
What happened?
did they?
I don't know. We'll see when Leo Kruger finally returns. Kruger,
yeah.
everybody, yeah, Sushi Pants, Kruger, come on, join in.
Oh, she left. The second you said Leo Kruger, she's like, I'm out.
Sorry, everybody. I gotta download Leo Kruger in 2K24. I completely forgot. Oh, I gotta write that down. Hang on a second.
So did everyone else in Community Creations.
Listen, I could fire the game up right now while we're live. Leo Kruger.
You're gonna find Freddy Krueger.
2K,
You're gonna find a shit ton of those.
24. Alrighty. What else we got?
Well, we got our main story because I knew we were going to be talking a lot about this.
Do you want to do, before we get into the main story then, do you want to do a little kayfabe? Listen, this is no longer a review podcast, but...
Oh, great. It's Stephanie McMahon. What job does she have according to you?
Stephanie McMahon is now head of turnbuckle relations. Yeah, she's in charge of the ropes that lead in between every two specific turnbuckles. Now, it's not from the corner to corner. It's not from diagonally because they don't really share anything. But
pillar to post?
Pillar to post, baby. Let's do, I know we're going to do a little bit out of order, but only because I think we'll probably have a lot to say about the main topic here. On this past Monday, I know that you guys are probably hearing this if you're listening to it in the pod feed on Tuesday. There's already been another Raw. But for us, there's only been one Raw post-Mania, in which The Rock came out and had some words with Cody Rhodes. Said he has to go bye-bye for a little while. He has to go back to Hollywood because Hollywood needs their Rock. What would they do without him?
Use John Cena or Batista.
What's that? Shazam was a smashing success. What are you talking about? I mean, the other one.
He wasn't in
Shazam. You knew what I meant. God damn it. Tamina.
No, that's a different... They didn't interact.
Tamina.
They weren't in the same movies.
At some point in that promo on Raw, Rock gave Cody something. He put it in his hand. Rock said, "You can tell what that is without even opening your hand." We never got to see it, the viewer. They have yet, at least up on recording. This whole bit might be fucking useless because maybe on Monday Night Raw we find out. But I have a feeling we don't find out for months and months and months. I feel like that's going to be brought back up when Rock returns. He handed Cody something and he said, "Don't break my heart again." And he gives this thing back to him. And I wanted to ask the Palski Nation what they thought he gave him. So we got a couple calls. I figured we should just play a couple calls. So
okay.
This first one comes from Maslama, aka Spitz of Retribution. Let's see what Spitz has to say.
Everybody, this is Spitz of Retribution, aka Chikara Levure of the Maximum Male Model, of which I am the most maximum. But I was calling to chime in my thoughts on what Rock might have given Cody and said, was it "Don't break my heart again"? I think it was probably TKO stock. Because now that Cody's supposed to lead the company, it's like, hey, now this TKO stock, this is on you. If it goes down, that's your fault. If this loses value, it's your fault, Cody. That's what he means, but it'll never break my heart again, because if the stock goes down, The Rock's heart will be broken. I don't have, an actual better guess than that, not a real one. I don't know. But I hear a lot of speculations about a watch. I don't know. I'm going to go stock. It's stock. Corporate stock. It's very important to people these days. Later, y'all.
Maslama thinks he gave him TKO stock. I don't think Maslama knows how stocks work.
What? It's Vince McMahon has been selling off his, so Rock probably bought it up and then
gave him what?
Went over to his house, picked it up.
He said you could tell what it is without looking at it. So, is it just a very specifically shaped piece of paper that just says stonks on it?
They're little WWE Attitude scratch logos.
Oh, like Pogs? Are WWE stocks just Pogs?
Yeah, but
with
they're not
logo?
slammers.
Right. No. That would be, listen, they're not worth that much.
No.
I mean, that's not bad. He'd mentioned the watch. There is a theory going around about the watch.
Yeah, Cody bought watches.
Right.
I think it's been reported Because when he went on an Ariel Hawani, he tried to say he only gave it to Seth.
Right.
And he gave it to others, but he won't say who it was. But I think it got out
Roman and Rock.
who it was. I didn't much pay attention to. It's like it's a Rolex. It says 40 on it. And then Nick Khan bought him a watch. And I don't know. There's a lot of fucking watches.
Nick Khan apparently, or
everybody's late to work. I guess.
WWE apparently bought him the watch that Dusty pawned to send Cody to acting school. That's the story that we're being told.
A watch, not the watch.
The same watch.
Nick Khan didn't track it down and go, I got it.
That's okay. So
it's got a polka dot on it.
So that's how you interpret that it's the same type of watch.
Yeah.
It's not the actual watch that he hunted down and went, this was Dusty Rhodes' watch. I'm just saying, some people believe that it's the watch.
30 years later that Nick Khan found that watch?
Yeah, he's a very powerful man. That's what some people believe.
He's joyless, yes, but I don't think he's that powerful.
All right, let's play the other one we got. This one came from my best boy, my cousin Paul.
Hey guys, it's Paul from Long Island. I think Rock handed Cody a Norman figure from the Mighty Max set, just letting Cody know that he's going to be gone away filming Mighty Max the movie, and he's playing Norman.
All right, so my cousin thinks he handed him a Norman action figure from the Mighty Max action figure set. It is he would know immediately. He'd be like, oh, I know this shape in my hand. This is Norman. And it was him saying, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to play this guy. But when I come back, he says, go home, you play with this little toy. And then when I come back, you're playing with the real thing.
So he's not getting him something Mark Kerr related from the Smashing Machine. The movie that Rock is going to do. There's a Mighty Max movie?
I don't know. This is all, I'm just picking up context here. I assume that my cousin knew that he was doing a Mighty Max movie, playing Norman from Mighty Max.
Sush, do you buy this? Sush.
Andrea Beeler in the chat says she interpreted it as the actual watch, by the way. Like the actual watch that Dusty pawned.
How can that be? That's so long in between. How would
it not
Cody
if it's a single
any other family member not have bought it?
Because not if it's just a single owner and nobody ever bothered trying to hunt it down. I don't know. I mean, listen,
a watch.
I'm more on your side of this than I am that it's the real watch, but I also would not be surprised. Why? Because I said I was on your side.
No, because you said you're a moron.
No, I am. I did. You're right. I'm more on your side. Moron. Your side. I'm sorry. 6 1 half dozen the other. I should just say one of the two things. I'm on your side, or I'm moron. They mean the same thing. Andrew Biller in the chat also says that what she thinks Rock handed him was a lighter, because although they didn't make a huge deal of it on screen, apparently Cody Rhodes' bus caught fire the night before Mania or this night of SmackDown. I can't remember. It was either the night of SmackDown.
Fire guy.
So we're trying to learn that. But then why would he say, don't break my heart again? Unless that's a threat. And in which case, how did he break his heart the first time? See, there's so many things here.
Because how did he break his heart the first time? He took away Rock's main event.
He did.
That he gave.
There is one other theory going around that is a little silly, but also kind of hilarious, right?
Okay.
The last time there was a bloodline match. Now, the difference here is, this is why I think the semantics matters, is they called it tribal combat, even though this one they called bloodline rules.
Which had seemingly no bloodline rules whatsoever.
It just meant that, anyways, I digress.
It meant that old people can show up and help the good guy.
They're claiming that since Cody beat the head of the table, the tribal chief, in a bloodline match, that Cody is now the tribal chief, which is, I think, kind of hilarious. And they're saying, oh, he gave him one of the, pieces of the tribal
chili
necklace,
peppers.
the chili pepper necklace, as you like to call it. That's what they're saying. Night of SmackDown is when the bus fire happened. Thank you for that in the chat. But there's a lot of theories going around about what he gave him. Do you have a theory?
No, I hadn't thought about this. I can make one up.
Okay.
he gave him what something small that it was in the palm of his hand, right? Like
Yeah.
it was just he palmed him something. Something I think he gave him a polka dot.
A single polka dot.
A single polka dot.
Which probably feels just like the stocks that are just like Pogs. So there we go. The entire time, Maslama, you and him agree.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I thought that was a fun little piece of storytelling. Anytime you keep something from the fans, that's just good TV because everybody speculates. Everybody online was wondering, all the fucking dirt sheet websites that were posting articles of what everybody thought it was. And I think that's fun. That's good. That's good TV.
Is there a crazy one that could still work because of the size
Yes.
that you saw?
And Gilbert Short just fucking nailed it. He gave him a chocolate covered pretzel, the stink palm from Mallrats.
Oh, why wouldn't he eat it?
Smeared
He's gonna
it.
save it.
He smeared it. That's a good point. The bit isn't as good if you just smear it in his hand. You know what, Gilbert?
Yeah.
I gave you too much credit. You didn't think it through.
Wow.
I took it right back. Has there been a crazy? No, I honestly, I think the only one that makes sense is the lighter, but I also feel like, I don't know that. Yeah. It's kind of like, maybe a little bit too fucked up that like, they're going to try to say like, yeah, Rock tried to kill you. He tried to like,
But that story also didn't get out, right? They didn't report it on
they did.
WWE.
They did.
They did?
But it was just a very brief, like, they showed Cody's tweet or something and were like, by the way, this was just 24 hours ago. Everything's fine. But Cody did have a crazy weekend so far, blah, blah,
I
blah.
must have missed that.
It was it was super abrupt.
Then that's what makes me think that it wouldn't be
Right.
if I can just fast forward through commercials and just not notice that because it happened so fast.
Yeah. Like they would have made a bigger deal out of it and drawn a big circle around it.
I don't know. I guess.
I'm excited.
Wait and see. You've crushed Gilbert Short in the chat now.
I know.
There's a very sad emoji face there.
Listen, I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You bastard. So,
speaking of good television.
Well, I was going to preface it with leading up to WrestleMania, we had many guests that appeared on Ariel Helwani's podcast. And he's always been a great reporter, asking real questions, and I've always dug the dude. And he had Rhea Ripley on the show. He had Cody Rhodes on the show, and most notably and most headliney, he had CM Punk on his show. And during the course of the interview I think is an hour and a half or so, maybe 2 hours. Flies by.
Shit, if it's 2 hours, that's news to me, and I listened to the entire thing because it did not feel like it was that long, but maybe.
Oh, I watched it.
Yeah,
I watched that.
I did too. It was on second screen while we were doing a podcast. I wasn't listening to you. I was just watching that like usual.
Well, at least you acknowledge it finally. And in the course of it, he was asked about AEW and things that had gone on and kind of the status with people and some stuff Punk could answer and some stuff he chose not to because of NDAs and didn't dance around too much, just spoke pretty frankly, pretty calmly about a lot of things, which tends to, you sooner go, well, there seems some credibility there because you're not ranting and raving and going like, I don't, let me tell you, you got to believe me. So even though he kept saying, stuff revealed. Even though he kept saying like, now I'm getting, I'm getting hot. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this stuff. It was like, that's the most reserved we've ever seen this guy. Yeah. And he wasn't in show form. No, he's just talking.
It was Phil Brooks. And, it was not CM Punk.
So he described at one point, he's asked about All In, the Wembley show, and what happens between him and Jack Perry. And Punk gives a pretty detailed blow by blow of what had happened.
Right.
And shortly after that had aired, it is announced then on AEW television that they're going to be showing the footage from All In.
Right.
And that the Young Bucks are going to speak on this.
They're going to present it.
And a lot of speculation from fans and going like, huh? But also a little side note that should be mentioned amongst this, that the the day or the day after, I was trying to find, it was on April 1st, Monday, April 1st. So shortly after this Punk interview had dropped, Tony Khan did something that he said he wasn't ever going to do, much like Undertaker at WrestleMania. There were multiple talent releases that happened in AEW that kind of went under the radar.
Are we sure these weren't just April Fool's jokes?
Oh, yeah. I think many of them were, because Gravity got released. Anthony Henry, the Tate twins, also known as the Boys, Stu Grayson for the second time, Dasha Fuentes, Slim J, Parker Boudreaux, Jose the Assistant, and Jorah Joel. So all those cuts happened around this time of the interview as well, which is just a little strange to put it all together that way.
I'm sorry. There was like a slight skip in the audio, and it was almost like you got censored, and it almost sounds like you said, so all these cunts got let go. Made me giggle.
All these knobs.
Yeah. The only name out of the whole fucking batch I knew was Grayson.
Dasha Fuentes, the ring announcer, interviewer? No.
You know what? Maybe if I saw her. Okay, I guess.
Jose the assistant?
Yeah, I don't know.
The super ripped dude who's been the assistant to a bunch of people?
Nope.
You don't pay attention to anything.
No.
You're the worst.
Have you read our reviews?
The Boys.
I'm just a WWE shill.
Dalton Castle's The Boys.
Okay.
The guys that he has that wear feathers and all that.
I haven't watched it.
Do you know who Dalton Castle is?
Yes. Dalton Castle is the like eccentric, fun,
and he has what with him?
Dramatic. Yeah, he has a couple guys. All right, so that's what they're called.
The Boys.
The Boys. All right.
The Boys is gone. You can hire them now and get to know them.
I don't think I realized that they were like the same guys. I thought it was just like I thought they were like
he finds little rip
like
dudes everywhere he goes from town to town.
Like they were rosebuds. Like it was just developmental.
They don't have that there.
Braun Strowman. Oh, I can tell.
No, you can't. You don't know who any of these people are. So, the footage is coming out on AEW Dynamite, and it was this past week on a Wednesday, and boy, oh boy, was the internet abound and just excited for this footage. I was excited. I tuned in. I got it on Twitter first because of, we don't treat all this programming still as a live event, and so I have the West Coast delay that I had to deal with. So I saw it on Twitter first from Tony Khan on Coke. That was fucking great. And the footage is shown without audio because it's just a security camera footage. And what we see, I think with the exception of Punk shoving Jack Perry first,
right?
That wasn't mentioned.
Right.
And what Punk's recounting of it.
I mean,
everything else seems to be pretty straightforward of what he said.
It kind of was, though. It's just whether or not what led to it is true. Because Punk said, he mentioned, I've learned that when someone's in your spit, you don't let somebody get close. So
yes, Chael Sonnen's. Let me let the cat out real quick.
Sure. Beeler in the chat says, I think it's sad that Punk had to reiterate several times in the Ariel interview that he wanted to protect people that were his friends that work there still. Yeah, that is a little sad, but it's also sweet. It also shows that he's not like, the pure evil guy that sometimes he's made out to be. But yeah.
When there's footage to back it up, it was crazy because the speculation is, well, is he going to be way wrong from what he said? Is there going to be something horrible and violent and out of control?
Right.
We don't know what is said. It's all pretty calm. There's talent around. They're right next to Tony Khan. This happens.
The other thing that's interesting about this, because you didn't really talk about it, but like the set. Did you watch the actual episode yet, or have you still only seen it on Twitter?
I've seen the footage around it. I didn't watch the whole fucking episode because I have things to do in my life.
You saw the Bucks present it and throw to it. Yeah.
So as part of a wrestling angle
against
of neither which the people that are shown are involved.
Nope. And they're not even, you don't even see them backstage. It's not even like, and there you are in the corner, not doing anything. Like there's literally, I don't think FTR is in that footage at all. I could be wrong. There's a lot of little heads popping in and out, but I don't believe they're there.
I got it up again right now. I can see Samoa Joe.
Sure.
There's Punk. There's a couple of referees. There's Aubrey Edwards. Right. Another wrestler too wanders in. Can't tell if that's Cassius Ohno.
Yes. So I was going to get to the best part of the best part of the entire footage. Jumping to the end is the end, in which is with Chris Hero helps kind of separate, helps hold back Punk. Everybody walks away, and Chris Hero puts his hands on his face as if he said, "Oh, thank God, no one will ever see this."
Oh, I thought he was going to say your line. I thought he was going to go,
oh boy. He did that. He did. He said, oh boy.
So there's 2 shoves from Punk after some words are exchanged that are, again, they're right next to Tony Khan.
Yep.
And then Perry dives low, seemingly to maybe double leg take down Punk.
Right.
And then Punk gets him in a guillotine choke.
That's my understanding of it. Yeah.
And then there's a choking, and then we see, I think, Matt Taven as well. Some thought it was Malachi Black, but I think that's Taven.
No. In the end, that's Malachi who comes in the very end there and walks up to him.
Up to Punk?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
That's gotta
let's
be.
put money on this.
I feel like he's got the hair and the face is all.
Well, Taven looks very similar to that.
Does
though.
he?
When you put him in Armored Gear, they both have that kind of. They have a lot of tats, and they got the slick back hair. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think it's
I thought
Malachi.
overall Malachi has way more tats to make his skin darker.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I think it's Malachi, but in any case, everything that Punk said happened. Whether or not, with the exception of asterisks, maybe Jungle Boy wasn't in his space as much as he says, but we can't hear it. There's no audio. So
the perspective of how far away one are, but he's in shoving distance. So
clearly. And we don't know what's being said and we don't know what's being provoked. And by the way, this is not me defending Punk. I want to say this, like I get it. I'm not a pro wrestler. I don't, like the style of business is different, right? The locker room lifestyle, the way that things work. We've heard this on 100 podcasts at this point, and anybody in the world, name any person who's ever worked in wrestling and Google their name and then thoughts on AEW airing, and then Google will pull up them on a podcast talking about airing this footage, because everybody who's ever been a wrestler has now chimed in on this. And apparently, this shit happens backstage all the fucking time. From my perspective, fuck that. I go like, no, Punk shoved this dude, he attacked this dude, and that's not cool. But also, Punk never said he didn't do this. And so, like, is this an okay thing to do? No, I don't think it is. Does that really change anything? No, I don't think it does. If that makes sense.
Well, so the things around this too that are important to acknowledge is before we get to the wrestling angle of all of this and why it was presented on television. CM Punk talks about Tony Khan because Ariel asked him about it. It's CM Punk acknowledges that he's not a boss, that Tony Khan just isn't a boss.
He's a nice guy.
There were instances throughout his tenure that he, dances around a little bit because of the NDA, but things never got squashed.
Right.
Things never got dealt with. So he kept saying this in a way of asking Tony Khan to go deal with that. Otherwise I'm going to deal with it, and you're not going to like the way that I do it.
Right.
But overall, ever since Brawl Out, where we saw Punk going off and talking to the wrestling media and flying off the handle, Tony Khan's sitting there.
100%.
Tony Khan is this is what we talked about long ago, is that none of that should have happened And it doesn't matter about Punk saying it.
Right.
Tony Khan is running this whole thing. He is the boss. He can say, stop,
Right.
cut his mic. Hey, why don't you just go ahead and go shower up and we're done.
Right.
Anything. He didn't do any of it.
In fact, it's presented to us, obviously everything is hearsay at this point, but it's presented to us, and I believe it, that like he actively didn't. It's not that they didn't come, no one went to him, or he was unaware, or he decided to do nothing. The people who came to him, he went, I can't do anything. Go ask this person. Shivani, go ask this person. And then everybody else has to get involved because the top of the totem pole, the guy steering the ship, has his fucking hands off the wheel and goes, I can't do nothing.
Well, Punk had said that. He said, what do you want me to do?
Right.
Which I think you need to have a plan at some point, because Punk's not the only one. We've heard the stories about Sammy Guevara and Andrade, that they're threatening each other online. And next time I see you, I'm going to punch you.
Right.
And then Tony Khan says, like, if you do that, you're going to be suspended with pay.
Right.
He didn't say that part, but what does Andrade do? Goes up and fucking punches him in the face. And then he gets suspended with pay. So he got what he wanted.
Yeah.
And Tony didn't take care of the situation. He created another show and put Punk on it.
Right.
And hey, everything's going to be separate and it's going to be fine, but didn't get settled. There was a meeting that was supposed to happen between the Elite and Punk before All In at Wembley, and it got canceled.
Right.
And so there are all these instances where we've heard about these stories that don't just involve Punk, of things not getting settled.
Right. Right.
And Tony Khan not being a boss to take care of issues that happen in wrestling, because it's fucking wrestling.
Right.
That's just what happens. So
yeah, a bunch of fucking testosterone laden
high schoolers.
Fucking high schoolers. Yeah.
Yeah, Punk said all the shit I said about it. It's high school. It is.
Yeah.
I've been there. You've been there. It's shit's high school. So what also happens when these things occur is that they go into angles because everybody believes it, or they heard about it and they know it, and then they want to see it. But we never got any of that. We 100%. Didn't get Punk versus Jungle Boy. We didn't get Punk versus the Young Bucks.
Nope.
We got none of that. So there's no capitalization. Punk is in WWE. He's at WrestleMania. He's cost Drew McIntyre the title. He's as hot as he's ever been, just while injured.
Right.
And having these moments, and people are all for it. And they're going, we're going to show the footage. And we as fans went, okay, so is it going to discredit Punk?
Right.
Make him look bad? Are we supposed to feel worse, or are we only going to like him more?
Right. And we speculated beforehand of things they could do to at least attempt to make this entertaining. If this is ultimately Tony just going like, well, I want to show it because he's just got upset and his feelings hurt. He wants to show it. And he goes like, he was lying. Maybe it is one of those things where like we all perceive things differently. Tony might see the exact same footage everybody else sees and goes like, look, there it is. Monster, evil. He tried to kill me. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so for whatever reason it actually was going to happen, there were things they could have done with it, even though it shouldn't have happened. But it's like, once it's decided, because again, you're helping nobody. This guy's not with your fucking company anymore. Then it's presented by your EVP characters, who's like their whole bit is that they run things. I was thinking like, okay, if they do the like telestrator, and they're doing a bit, and they're, like I said, they're circling guys in the background, and they're like not even acknowledging the fight, and they're like, look at what's happening here. Why is this guy? Look at Hook looking back and forth. Like, Hook, you should go to, I don't know, doing something, making a bit of it. Instead, they throw to it. They don't say Punk's name because they can't, and then it's silence. They don't talk over it. And there's all this speculation of why there's no commentary along with it. There's no play-by-play because there's all this other stuff that come out. I can't speak to it, obviously by no means expert, but apparently because of the laws in the UK, any public footage of you own the rights to. So every individual in that footage, because it's public footage, it's from Wembley, it's not like an AEW camera, you can't show that footage publicly without the like express consent of those present. So anybody in that footage apparently could sue, including Punk, which would be hilarious, but also let's be done with this whole fucking thing as well, you know?
Wait, is it going to be Matt Taven or Malachi
That's
Black?
what we'll find out.
Do they know?
We're gonna-
Do they know which one's which?
I feel like Taven is more litigious. I don't think Black sues. No.
He kicks.
Plus all the shit that's happening with his wife right now. Like he's like, we're not going to get involved with this.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so they
The
present it
EVP
with
characters present this footage.
and they say nothing during it at all whatsoever, which makes it even more embarrassing in my opinion, because you can't even put a spin on it.
Because you all you do is focus on what's at hand. All you focus on, okay, well, is this Punk said that, Punk said this, yeah, all those things happen. And then when you go back and you see it multiple times, you see Tony Khan being at the right side, just next to Jack Perry and CM Punk, and his hand coming up and going like, hey,
Like behind the
and
wall.
You see his hair.
Right.
And this is the footage
Looking like ET.
of Tony Khan fearing for his life.
Right. Yes.
This is the scariest thing. I think Punk maybe gets a chance to slam his hand on a desk and probably says the lines then of this place is a fucking joke and you're a clown.
Right.
But this is the scariest
Right.
thing that has ever happened to him in all of wrestling. Not any of the stuff that he's responsible for. Darby Allin jumping off into glass and nearly dying during Sting's match, or any of the things that occurred during his shows that could be the scariest moment of him as a fan.
Right.
This?
Yeah.
I've seen way worse fights than this at wrestling shows or
Same.
things that have happened that have been scarier, but not
Right.
fear for life. So this being shown is, we'll get back to the wrestling angle in a second, but I think when talking to wrestling other friends and stuff about it, I think where Zeka, friend of the show, put it best, saying, I think this is a milestone for AEW and more so for Tony Khan. This is forever a blemish on this guy. I think I can't speak for everybody. I think there's a large perception, myself included, of, this is it. This is the big deal.
Right.
You showed this footage. This is you fearing for your life. You shouldn't be doing this. You are not a boss. You don't know how to book well. Like, things are being exposed more and more. This is a milestone of, you're embarrassing.
Do you want to know what
you don't know what you're doing?
Do you want to know what I think of? I think of like, and it's not to say that he can't turn it around and AEW can't be a giant massive success for years and years and years to come. But like, I think of like Hardy, Jeff at his low point in that match with Sting in Impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think back and you go like, God, it just makes you look so bad. It's such a letdown. Everybody looks at this as this massive blemish, except Tony can't blame like his demons on this. Do you know what I mean? Like we can all look at that and go like, Jeff was in a shitty place. He made a terrible mistake and he's clearly not well. And he, tried to get clean. And like, there's all of these other things around that. And all of these other things that are stories similar to this in wrestling kind of have that twist. Not all of them. There's a few Hogan stories and a few things here and there with some other people throughout the years where you go like, that's just a dick move. But there's always kind of another side of it. Even something like the Montreal Screwjob, there's all these different sides of it. There's none of that stuff around this moment. This is such a pure and obvious, everybody saw it. You then showed it so that it solidified everything that Punk said, love him or hate him. He didn't lie. What was it?
He didn't grab you.
What was his bit?
He didn't physically manhandle you. He didn't scream in your like right in your face. Nothing leads credence to what you said on air. Yep. He didn't present on air because we speculated. We still don't know overall with the legalities. Maybe the legal team's going like, you had to say this in order to fire him on air, even though Punk's saying, I asked to be released and he wouldn't release me several times. So Tony Khan didn't present it as what would have saved face, right? What would have saved face of on that Dynamite after All In saying, Chicago, this is incredibly disappointing what I have to announce.
Yep.
Someone who I thought was one of the most professional of professional wrestlers, CM Punk, did something that I can't stand behind. He of course he's gone off the rails on the microphone. It's kind of what we expect and hope for, but he was fighting outside of the ring backstage, and I can't tolerate that.
Right.
He couldn't have a professional behavior. We couldn't talk things out. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that. And there's footage. I don't know if we're ever going to show it, but I can't have an unruly backstage.
Right.
And that's what this guy is causing. Like, present it that way.
100%.
But he didn't.
No.
He presented it as everyone, the crew, everybody was in fear for their life.
It's literally...
No, they weren't.
The entire...
No, they were all fine.
In fact, most of them ignored what happened. There were some people still just at the end of it going like, that happened. Whatever.
They shoved.
Even Joe... My favorite part about this whole thing, by the way, this makes Joe look the best of everybody. Because Joe is just standing there, kind of clocking it before it happens. And then when it happens, he goes over, but he moves like with intent, but he doesn't run. He doesn't, like, it's just like, all right, let me go get this fucking
I got to make sure that Jack...
Let me get this asshole off this other asshole. Let's separate these assholes.
Doesn't get fucked up.
Yeah. And he pulls it off, and it's just like fucking cool as a goddamn cucumber. Again, my favorite part of it, though, is really Chris Hero really just sells the whole thing for me. Just the...
Yeah, he's the capper.
On the way back. It's just the best.
So, to me, my perception right now, and again, all this could change, but with everything that's led up to this, is, to me, Tony Khan is the scariest wrestling fan that there is.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Tony Khan has unlimited funds.
Right.
So he can just keep perpetuating this. He can keep paying for this. He can keep bringing people in.
Right.
And with attempts of manipulation of, you'll be my friend. You're going to work for me, right? We're going to love each other. I'm going to hug you at a press conference, and we're going to put on the best matches, and I'm going to do all the things, and I'm going to make the greatest matches what we've ever seen. And I'll tell people, I'll go on press and I'll say, it's the best. This thing was the best. This was the best Sting match ever. This was the best Sting run ever. All these things that are disconnected from reality. It's not business minded. It's not saying, hey, I think we're doing really great stuff. It's beyond that. We're getting into single white female fatal attraction territory with what he's done in press in the past year or two.
I will say
he's got emotional issues.
Okay.
He might have substance issues. There's a lot of scary shit that he's doing as a fan, that he's booking everything. He says, I'm not going to turn over creative control to anybody else. He's adding more to his plate, and he's out of control. I think the dude's just fucking scary at this point.
Yeah.
He's a weird guy. It is just, we're 5 years in.
Yeah. Yeah. I see all that. The only thing I'll speak to.
And he hired a guy who ripped off On Your Mark. He hired the wrong guy.
Yeah, that's a
so
good one.
He's really disconnected.
I'll speak to Tony's defense about one of those things. And that is
I'm not lumping you into what I said.
Every fucking booker and every guy in every company ever is going to tell the press, this is the best Sting run ever. This is the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and the biggest tag match ever, and the best match. Literally WWE named a pay-per-view the greatest wrestling match of all time without ever even fucking having the match in the first place. Like, this is kind of part of the business. But I think maybe what you're speaking to is it's almost more not what he's doing in press. It's almost more what he's doing interpersonally with these people.
And in press, because there's the side of marketing. There is the side of, hey, this.
Yeah, that is just wrestling.
I think what we're doing is the best thing. When you hear him talk about it, there's a disconnect.
Right.
He doesn't present it that way.
Yeah.
It is his press events where he's asking everyone to say all the nice things at his press conferences. He doesn't want the real hard questions. He doesn't want any of that shit. He doesn't welcome it. He wants it to be this bubble of what I'm creating is the best. And it is the best, and everybody else is evil and awful. And look, I beat them and I did this. It doesn't come across in the normal way.
Right.
And I know not everybody will agree with me on that, but time will tell. We will see. But on to the wrestling angle of all this, of like why I guess they decided 8 months later to turn this into a wrestling angle, because this was August 2023 is when All In happened.
Right.
And then the Young Bucks presenting this and saying, we had to put aside all things in our professional wrestling life to be EVPs this night. We had to wear fucking 2 hats because that's what we are. So you can take it as a little bit of they're the whiny bad guy characters that are EVPs.
A little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's not,
but they're not genuine
sold.
saying it. And we also have The Rock, on the other hand, being the same character.
Right.
And who has authority and who can change shit on a dime and can tell a referee during the match, like, don't do this. But we have these guys whining about it instead and saying we couldn't focus and we lost that match to FTR. So now we have a chance for a rematch. Now, it's been 8 months. You're the EVPs. You could make a match whenever the fuck you wanted. So that's the disconnect for me. Immediately, right. I go, wait, you had to wait to have a tournament in order to fight them again because you couldn't make a match and all this time and get your revenge again.
Right.
You have a creative idea 8 months later.
Right.
Ugh.
Right.
Ugh.
And by the way, it was reverse engineered. You didn't have a creative idea 8 months later. 8 months later, your feelings got hurt and you decided to air something and then you had to figure out how to be creative. So it's not even like it took 8 months to come up with something. You came up with nothing ever. You came up with 0 things.
There was seemingly no other match that was going to happen with you and FTR.
Nope, none. There was 0 things occurring. And then once we had to show this, and I'm putting fucking huge parentheses or huge quotes rather around had to show this. Then you decided to find some creativity that is at the end of the day, again, we didn't even talk about this. Oh man, she didn't call. I completely forgot. Alice Rader, listener Alice Rader said she was present for this.
Oh, right.
And Alice, I know she mentioned it in the Discord, but I think she might have forgotten to call. It's all right. We still love you. Said that through the entire video package, people were laughing and then they bursted into CM Punk chants. And then when they came back from commercial or they came back from whatever, there was just CM Punk chants in the arena for the rest of the fucking evening. I mean, and by the way, not FTR chants, which would have been nice if that's what they were trying to sell.
There were FTR chants during their promo.
Oh, okay. All right.
When they came out and they
I did watch that
because they came out
I just didn't
after.
Yeah, right after
the Bucks and the
and
footage.
it was like, oh, by the way, and Shivani. Oh man, did you see Shivani's face? By the way, before they threw to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Picture paints 1,000. Paints 1,000. You know the old saying, right? A picture paints 1,000 words. That's what they say. I think Lincoln said that. So they throw to the thing. The fucking Bucks do it. They show the thing, and then when they come back to the arena, FTR is coming out, and the commentary is like, "Well, FTR is not in our program schedule here, so I don't know what they're doing out here." And they come out and they cut a promo, and they're
justifying it even more. They're trying to make it work even more.
And like
that's the position they're in. They're not EVPs. No. They're talent, and they're going, all right, we're making sure that this match has validity, and we're trying to sell pay-per-view.
Doing the best they can. Okay. Yeah. All in all, it did move the needle viewership. Their ratings skyrocketed for Wednesday. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
I think it'd be a good thing if this was able to capitalize to keep you watching the show. I think this is a one-time thing because you have a one-time crazy stunt.
Yeah.
We're showing the footage that you never saw.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, everyone's going to look. And, these two are going to fight again. Oh, well, okay. Tony Khan's not talking about anything. The Young Bucks aren't talking about Punk.
Yeah. Next.
Omega is not chiming in. There's no Hangman
next Wednesday
involved in this.
If they don't announce next Wednesday that Jack Perry's going to show up because he wants to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he's been there in months.
I know, but you're not. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Thing. They're not even lifting up the dude that
he's somewhere else right now, trying to sell into the bit, coming out to with a CM Punk banner, a Chicago flag, and wearing a jacket that says "Cry Me a River," and it's not even on AEW programming.
Yeah, because two more gripes, real quick. I'll make.
Oh no, we can. Let's spend. I got nothing to do today.
So one thing that I neglected to mention, and Gilbert Short brings a spotlight to it about Tony Khan being the scariest wrestling fan that there is, is that also his methods of being a boss or being a scary fucking friend to these people is when he's done, he ghosts you.
Right.
There is no contact Punk talked about
He did mention like 6 months. He
the
did.
medical treatment of no one's helping him, no one's calling him.
Right.
The boss isn't talking to him. We've heard tons of stories about Vince McMahon calling up talent when they're hurt and injured, when they're, top players,
Sure,
mind you. But when that relationship is there, that the boss is in contact with you.
Right.
And Chavo Guerrero has talked about that when he worked for him and then was going to go do stunt work on Young Rock, and Tony Khan said, yes, go do that. That'll be great for everyone. They wrote him off TV. Right. He got injured by Jose, the assistant, and then ghosted when he was done and like, I'm ready to come back. Hey, ready to come back. Hey, hello, what's going on? They didn't fucking talk to him anymore. And he's like, Tony Khan fucking ghosted me. Who else mentioned? Big Swole talks about fucking Tony Khan ghosted me.
Right.
That's what he's doing. That's not normal or good at all. Right. That's a horrible relationship. And then the Bucks on top of this with the shit they're doing. A lot of the issue that I've had with the Bucks over the years, and it's not just the wrestling stuff or the comedy stuff that we haven't really spoken about on air much, is, and Jack Perry is a prime example of this right now. And all the stories of all the people I've met in wrestling that have dealt with the Bucks, they're not particularly great at lifting others up.
Right.
For indie guys that have done a successful job in doing indie shows, doing PWG and doing all that other stuff, they've not really lifted up a lot of other people, and they don't really seek to help out a lot of other people. It's a very small group in which they help out.
I was going to say, I don't think necessarily like, Paige and Omega, like, and KO to a lesser extent when he was Steen. Like, I'm sure those people, but you have to be in there.
There's being booked, and then there's flat out lifting up.
Right.
And I'm talking about backstage people too.
Right. That's a good point.
That there's been a lot of people that have worked or done stuff with them and then been like, they just fucking left us in the dust because we didn't all of a sudden jump to this other level. Like, we're still grinding and we're still doing what we're doing. Right. And I'm not just talking wrestlers. I'm talking production people and others.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And they don't sound great because not a lot of others do that.
Right.
Even in wrestling, when it comes to those types of people that they're still just cool and cordial, or try to, hey, we got a spot for the thing that you do. Come do the thing, because they started a company, for fuck's sake.
And not for nothing, whether or not Cody had any input on it, or it was the fucking production, or who the fuck knows, they were shown at WrestleMania on WWE programming. They showed the Young Bucks with Cody smiling. Look at how far we've come. And it's like, there is sort of a humorous, like, it's all there, guys. Like, capitalize. Just capitalize on it in some way, shape, or form. You have a huge fan base that are desperate for you to succeed. So desperate that they no longer see reality. You literally have created a wrestling cult. And like, you have all of the opportunity to wrestle your matches. Who gives a fuck what the Palskis think about their matches? People out there fucking love them. And that's all that matters, right? If you can do that,
there's plenty of styles and stuff for everybody.
100%. And like,
oh, Osprey's this, or the Young Bucks are that. Like, yeah, people like your shit.
There's no reason why they can't have a top wrestling show. And it almost sort of feels like Tony was like the worst thing for them, because it was like, instead of getting a proponent,
he's an enabler.
Exactly. I was going to say, it's like getting a proponent who instead goes like, listen, guys, I'll fund this, but we're going to do this, or we're going to do this, or we're going to follow these guides, because I want to make sure that we're sick. Like, I've worked with, in various different art forms, both in film, in even podcasting, with a producer, a monetary backer who has set ground rules for the success of the thing that they were putting the money up for, right?
Right.
And there are times where I go, listen, you're the one paying. The reason that you are investing the money is because you trust that I know what I'm doing. And there are times where I go like, listen, I know this. I know the way this works. Trust me. This is how I think we should do this. And there have been times where it doesn't matter what I think, because I'm not the one with the money. You know what I mean? Yeah, Sushi Pants is exactly how I feel about the Bucks right now.
Yeah.
But
They need a good cleanup.
yeah, but this seems to me like Tony is just the like, whatever you guys think. Well, yeah, whatever you guys think. And I think that's the worst thing for guys who have talent. Like, they're undeniably talented guys. They wouldn't get to where they've gotten if they weren't. It just feels like they're in a position now where you have this company on your shoulders that, by the way, one of the tent poles fucking is now in the other company, the biggest name in goddamn wrestling.
One of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's all disappointing. I think best case scenario for fucking AEW right now is Tony does as little damage as he can. Okay. Take a step back, hire somebody from the outside to come help. And then eventually, when Cody's done with his WWE run and he's got a big, long storied career, let fucking Cody go back to AEW and take over, and then have two really great fucking wrestling companies that are two different flavors and two different styles. And
There are so many things you said within that will just not
I know.
happen.
Of course they won't. But listen,
It's
I can dream.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of the stuff echoed through from many a fan, I think, over the years of, hey, Tony, step back. You said you're never going to be an on-screen character. Your scrums are not good.
Right.
You need to step aside to have anybody else represent the company.
Right.
And do that. And hey, lend out some other booking jobs to other people to put it together and have a more cohesive show. If the Bucks are going to do what they're going to do, fine.
Right.
If you're doing these petty moves, you're doing the fucking crazy tweets. If you're going to show the footage, you gotta turn it into money, into business. And that was also Punk's thing of, we're not in the same business. I was told that this was going to be about ticket sales and viewership,
Sell
and
some
merchandise. Yeah. And he says that's not what it's about there. And we've seen snippets of that as well. Like, we've seen the mentality of like Dr. Britt Baker, the special they did after the Lights Out match with her and Thunder Rosa, where she's getting patched up and bleeding everywhere. And she's going, I hope Dave Meltzer gives this 5 stars.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what's important. That's a guy.
Right. Yeah.
That's a guy. It's certainly, if you've read him forever and you're a fan and you like his stuff, I think that's a nice thing to have in addition.
100%.
But I hope to God that's not why you're fucking bleeding right now, is so that one person gave it a stamp of 5 that is not even the highest rating anymore.
Right.
Because he keeps changing that shit now.
Totally.
So it's to have all that curtain pulled back on AEW is disheartening. I'm disheartened as their fan. I haven't watched a show in a while. It's all over the map. To see their move of, hey, thanks for showing the fucking footage of Punk.
Yeah.
I appreciate the hell out of that. That was great.
Same.
I was thoroughly entertained.
The other thing,
I didn't want to watch a show.
next week, when all the viewership goes away, what does the network say? Hey, what happened that week? Why did so many people watch? Oh, we played a guy from a different company. Why don't we have that company on our fucking network then?
Show him more.
Yeah.
What else can we show of him?
Man, it's a bummer. I want so desperately for AEW to succeed, because we need places for wrestlers to go. You and I have talked about this for years. I joked earlier, but the reviews, people think that we're just WWE shills, specifically me. They hate that we don't talk about, other wrestling companies. But the reality is, like, I want AEW to be a big, giant, super important company, because you need to be able to go away and do something different and work with different people. Like this is just the modern territories, right? Impact and fucking, AEW, and to a lesser extent.
There's a lot of outlets,
Right.
and it's so much more accessible now than it ever was, because you could read about it in a wrestling magazine and go like, wait, what? I've heard about this guy Lex Luger, but he sounds cool, but I don't get to see anything. That's the other problem, is you get to see everything,
Right.
But it's available to you as a fan, which is great. And yeah, we need places that can pay talent and put on decent shows and get their fans. And if it's local to you and you get to watch it all the time, like, that's fucking great and outstanding. But I think the real problem is, Jake, WWE is the only one with an encyclopedia.
Oh shit. The AEW Encyclopedia isn't out yet, and until it's out yet,
They're not real.
they're not real.
Where's the TNA Encyclopedia? We got some fun comments.
I want to say,
chat.
Andrew Beeler in the chat says, I used to love AEW. I haven't watched it at all. And Edge is there, my favorite wrestler of all time. That doesn't make me want to watch it at all. And yeah, I do think that's.
I'm right there with you with Christian. Like,
yep.
I've missed out on so much stuff. I haven't seen them fighting each other because when I try and watch the shows, I go like, my God, my brain.
The segment prior to this Young Bucks throwing to the All In footage was a segment with Edge, and it looks like he's having a good time, and I guess that's okay. But
his pockets are full.
It was unwatchable. It's a segment with a bunch of people all trying to do a bit backstage that are different from the bits that everybody else is doing. It's you and I talk about this all the time. Like, every wrestler should go take improv courses because it's literally 6 different people who all had 6 different ideas at the same time, and none of them know, oh, okay, we're running with this one. It's like, instead of yes-anding, it's just completely ignoring and then going, also me.
Yeah, it's I could name so many fucking people right now.
It was
that
rough.
The audience might actually know.
It was rough.
It's just when in an improv show, a little shop talk, in an improv show, when something's working, and it's a show where a bunch of guests are invited and you don't all work together and know a cohesive unit, people just then show up on stage and go like, I have no ideas, but I want in on this too because this one's working.
Right.
And my last 3 scenes that I started didn't have shit.
Yeah.
But I'm jumping in on yours, and I've now killed the momentum, and I have no idea that that's what happened.
Yeah. Scene suckers. They just suck all the air right out of it.
So yeah, and we've seen.
I know. I used to be one of them.
I was a huge fan of AEW, and I loved the craziness of it because it was all new and it was different, and they were sometimes it was a train wreck, sometimes it wasn't, but it was a different train wreck. And now the tricks have been played out, and they, like you said in that one segment, he did so many of it in that one segment. And that's not just that 2-hour show where you're going to see it over and over and over again, that it's been done to death. And you're just like, I've seen it.
Yeah. And when
AEW
started, I felt like I was so excited because I was being introduced to all of these new characters. And then it became almost immediately apparent that those characters might not be there next week. And I don't mean that the talent might not be on the show, but that talent might not be that character next week. Even worse than WWE, which, by the way, was doing this for a very long time. There's just a on a whim style to the writing and booking of the show that very much feels like, what mood are you in today, Tony?
Yeah, and it's we know it's him now. There's no question about it. And in the beginning too, we had Cody, and his segments felt more grounded, or there would be some segments that would feel different. And I think Collision had that for 10 weeks where you go, it felt like a different show.
I watched all of that, by the way. I went back and rewatched the entire fucking first 10, the Punk saga. It was so good. It's so good.
So from start to finish, you watched those shows?
I did not watch every single minute of the shows. I did. There were a few things I was like either busy and it was on the screen to my left here, or it was something that I wasn't clicking with me and I gave it a little fast forward until, but it wasn't like it's not the way I watched Raw, which is like skipping the
matches. Like what Dynamite is.
No,
right?
it didn't feel like an AEW presentation. Even the presentation felt different. It felt slower.
Yes.
The whole show felt so much slower in a good way. Not like, oh God, this is slow, but like, yeah.
Matches were front and center.
Yes. It felt like, I always throw to this. It felt like that, unfortunately failed attempt at a Wednesday night product that WWE had, Main Event, where I was like very behind it when they first started doing that. And I was like, oh, you're going to do it.
Main Event still runs, sir.
Oh my God. I was like 3 matches where the first segment sets up what the main event is, and then there's just wrestling. I'm all for it. That was fucking fantastic. It felt a little bit like that, where it was very much predicated on like, this is what you're seeing right now. We didn't have Excalibur giving us 20 years worth of indie recaps that we cared. We cared because of what we saw.
Yeah, it's it needs a change. It needs an update. It needs different voices. It needs different talent. I don't want to write off AEW. So all this to be said, if anybody's still listening to us going like, they fucking hate AEW. Like I, for one, I still want to go. I still want to see the shows. I still want to watch the shows. I'm fucking single now. Like I got time. I want to do wrestling pay-per-view hangouts, ideally not through Bleacher Report, mind you, but when Warzeka,
I mean, what better
like,
way?
Hey,
what better way to hang out with your friends than have nothing to do for 30 minutes?
It's 40. With Warzeka, he's like, hey, we should get together and watch some more wrestling soon. But the AEW pay-per-view is in like 2 weeks. I don't really want to watch that. I'm like, me neither. I don't.
Right,
so.
Yeah.
We're talking about watching Backlash of all fucking things, the French Backlash.
Listen.
So the want is there. The money wasn't the issue. It was, we know this product isn't good right now and it's such a mess. We considered it, but it's just got to be retooled, and there's still something there. They got so many talented people in front and behind the camera there.
Yeah, they do. I mean, just
it's not a lost cause.
The fucking roster is incredible. Like they've got a great roster. The ones I know, let's be honest.
Sure, and there's probably some people that you'd be looking forward to seeing, or in a couple of years you'd be like, oh, they're really cool.
100%.
Were they there the whole time?
I mean, we watched that Hook match, which was fantastic. Hook and Joe, and obviously that dude's got tons of promise.
Yeah, Samoa Joe does.
Yeah, I think
he's got tons
he's
of
going
promise,
somewhere. He's definitely going
Samoa Joe's
somewhere.
the champ of a company and we're not watching. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Like to Andrea Beeler's point where it's like her favorite wrestler of all time is there. She's not watching because we all just go like, it's all going to be so fucking jumbled and weird. I don't want to watch Joe have embarrassing moments. I don't want to see Adam Copeland having embarrassing moments. Right. Nick Wayne's mom and all this other weird shit. It's like, I want to watch the good stuff.
Yeah.
This is Bryan Danielson's last year, apparently.
Yeah.
That's how that's being presented.
Right.
And I was watching that and going, yeah, they're going to fuck it up.
Yeah. I mean, at some point in AEW programming, they literally had Daniel Bryan working with William Regal, and I wasn't watching religiously. Like that is such Jake shit right there. But, well, there it was.
Please get better.
Please get better, and don't show.
We will be waiting. I won't be watching, but I'll be waiting.
Don't show that shit ever again. I think we're gonna lose some listeners today. But you know what? They probably didn't like us to begin with.
Well, if you've gotten this far, what are your thoughts on the footage? Did it help in any way? Is there a positive spin? If you're like, hey, AEW through and through, and this helped in some way, call the hotline, 747-666-5606. The hotline's always open. You can be heard on the show. I'd love to hear if you think the positive points of what this did for them, other than just the viewership of that night. Does it help Tony Khan's reputation some way? Are you interested in the angle of Young Bucks and FTR? And like, yeah, I'm sold on this. This is a great story. I'd be very curious to hear all that shit.
Well, that'll do it. Thanks again to everybody who joined us live. Once again, if you would like to be chiming in, just like those did today, you got to become any patron, every single level gets access to the live stream. But if you'd like to challenge Strong Style, aka Gaines' current PWP World Champ, then you got to become a championship level patron. Once again, all that information is over at patreon.com/PWPalskis. Scott and Ivor, we have to thank our current Patreon Palskis.
Yes, we are the only show who gives a retribution name as well as a maximum male model name. Why? Because I don't think AEW's come up with a stupid enough stable for us to go with that one as well.
I mean, we could have just...
So thank you to AJ.
We could have done Dark Order and everybody just gets a number. That's not as fun.
Nah, it's not as fun. AJ0314, aka Binary, aka Matrice69, Alex Pierce, aka Figs, aka Zitoys, Alice Raider, aka Invasion, aka Yves Joie, Andrea Beeler, aka Pollen Hate, aka Tu Detest, Curtis Mason, a.k.a. Hurtis, a.k.a. Ouche. Gilbert Short, a.k.a. Goliathon, a.k.a. Batal Underrus. Mass Lama, a.k.a. Spitz, a.k.a. Jukara Lover. Michael Beltran, a.k.a. Limestone, a.k.a. La Natural. Miguel Diaz, a.k.a. Biopod, a.k.a. Too Much Husk. Mike Lucas, a.k.a. Hackensack, a.k.a. Luge Testicle. Strong Style, a.k.a. Gaines, a.k.a. the current PWP champ. Suicide, a.k.a. a.k.a. Tim Bemis, a.k.a. War Trek, a.k.a. Tussle Quest. Tim Redbeard, a.k.a. Blood Fuzz, a.k.a. Blue de Fusée. Tom Hader, a.k.a. Cupid, a.k.a. Cherub. And Tony Griggs, a.k.a. Big Griggs, a.k.a. Grand Grisois.
Thanks to each and every one of you for your continued support of the program. Andrew Beeler in the chat says, what number would you give me, Jake? 1, right? I have to be number 1. Andrew Beeler, I'm going to give you number 88. Because if you take a digital clock and you push down, 88 makes up every number because you're everything, Andrea Beeler. How about dem apples? Also, if you turn it sideways, it's infinity twice. Find us on the social medias at PW Palskis. You can find me at Jake Lloyd Bacon. He's at Scott Narver. Hey, when was the last time you checked out the shop? Because it is not been soon enough. Maybe was that? Did I segue that? Yeah, that landed. We did good here.
It's not been soon enough.
DragonWagonShop.com.
Not just for shopping for yourself. If others are shopping for you and they go like, I don't know what to get you, you buy everything for yourself, or oh my God, you need new clothes because everything's all torn up. Well, tell them, send them the links to go, hey, there's this Palski shop. I'd love to get merchandise. I need a new phone case, for crying out loud. I don't have enough shirts with hot dogs on them that also resemble Hulk Hogan.
Boom.
Absolutely.
There's a ton of fantastic stuff there. There's stuff there that is like blatantly obvious PWP. There's some stuff that's a little bit more kind of vague, and that way people go like, what is that you're wearing? And then you can tell them, and it's all fun and good times, and some of it's very useful as well. So do all of that. We will see you guys next week. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Always a blast hanging out with you, the Pro Wrestling Palskis.
Hey there, my name is Wingman Steve.
And I'm Chris.
Chris what?
Yeah, I'm not saying it.
Come on, man, say it. It's cool.
I'm Chris 183.
Yeah, Chris 183. That's cool. What do you call a cow that plays an instrument?
I have no idea.
A musician.
Anyways, Steve and I are both 30-something dads.
But we are super cool, awesome 30-something dads who love to nerd out over the power-chorded glory that was 90s and early 2000s pop-punk music.
We are both huge fans of the pop-punk genre, even though nowadays we're pure Baby Shark.
Join us on High School Never Ends, the Pop Punk Dad podcast, where we'll discuss, debate, and revel in a music genre that we feel deserves much more love.
At least once we get the kids to bed.
It's High School Never Ends at hsnepod.com and wherever podcasts are found.
It's Dragon Wagon.